Sandhya, we will actually be going through that through today's introduction. So we'll talk through how you can access the recordings that are posted on YouTube. But good question. And just a reminder, as we go through the meetup today, if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We've got three meetup leaders here from a MuleSoft perspective. So we'll try and answer those as we're going. And also our guests today should be able to address some answers, some questions as well. So yeah, feel free to use that. All right, it's just on 5:30 here, local time in Melbourne. So we'll get started, but thank you everyone for joining the Melbourne Virtual MuleSoft Meetup for April 2022. So as mentioned, please use the chat function to ask questions or add some comments. We want to try and keep this interactive as we're going. I think in the spirit of meetups, it's really important that we convey as much information as possible and you get as much out of this as you can. So let's try and keep it interactive with the chat function available there. Now we've got a slight change with this meetup. So instead of using Kahoot for the quiz a little bit later on, we're using Quizzes, which is a very similar platform. But please pay attention because there are prizes and giveaways based on the winners for that trivia later. I know everyone's really keen on trying to win some MuleSoft swag, and it's a really popular part of our meetup. So stay tuned, pay attention, and hopefully you can take away some prizes today. Okay, so by way of introduction, we've got three of our local meetup leaders. I'll introduce myself first, and then I might hand over to Daniel and then Carlos. My name's Adam Bond, Principal Solution Engineer based in Melbourne. I predominantly work in the retail and consumer goods space, but have been at MuleSoft just over 3 years, but have a pretty lengthy career in the integration and API management space as well. So, really lucky to be a part of this meetup. And it's one thing I really enjoy is, being active and seeing the involvement from the MuleSoft community around. So with that, Daniel, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Daniel, also based in Melbourne. I've been living in Melbourne now for 15 years or so. Joined MuleSoft about 3 years ago, but have worked in the integration space for almost 20 years, together with Adam and Carlos running the local meetup here in Melbourne. Really looking forward to today's session. Over to you, Carlos.
Thanks, Daniel. Hey, guys. As mentioned, my name is Carlos. I am also based in Melbourne. I work with the globally. So, regardless of where you are, feel free to tag me on LinkedIn or send me emails. I'll be more than happy to work with you guys. And I've been also around integration for a long time, and very recently very active in API management.
Fantastic. Thanks, Carlos. And thanks, Daniel. So I've sort of mentioned a couple of times, and we've sort of dropped it into the chat, but feel free to introduce yourself as you're joining. If couple of people have just joined recently, let us know where you're from in the world. It's really interesting. We generally, this is the Melbourne MuleSoft Meetup, but we see a lot of people from all across Australia, even New Zealand, India, and even a lot of the time we even branch out and have people joining, from Europe or the United States as well. So yeah, feel free to say hello and let us know where you're from, because in this virtual environment, the net is cast pretty wide. Okay, in terms of the agenda today, it's really jam-packed, exciting agenda. We've got a few announcements from myself. I'll sort of run through the latest and greatest of what's happening from a MuleSoft perspective. Then we've got a little bit of a teaser or a little bit of an introduction into what's coming with Universal API Management and the Flex Gateway. If you haven't heard any of the rumors or the whispers or been onto our website lately, it's a really, really exciting topic You know, and especially, you know, from our perspective, we're really interested to, you know, give you a little bit of a glimpse of what's coming there. So we've got Carlos covering that off today. And then we're moving into sort of the main section of today's meetup. We're very lucky to be joined by the NJC Labs team, and we've got Shefreen, who will be running through integration lifecycle automation with the Anypoint platform. This is something that I you know, had the privilege to witness last year, and it's really cool, really interesting solution. And yeah, I hope you get a lot of value out of that. So we'll see that a little bit later. And last but not least, as mentioned, we will be running a trivia at the end. We've got Daniel coming in to take that, and we'll have some giveaways as well. Okay, in terms of the announcements, I don't want to take up too much time with all the cool stuff that we've got coming on a little bit later, but just for everyone's benefit, we have our flagship marketing event, which is really around being in touch with what's happening from a MuleSoft perspective. So this is really exciting. MuleSoft Connect, it's happening in Sydney, as well as a few other locations globally. We're lucky enough to actually have a Connect based in Sydney. It is, you know, there's limited numbers, but it will be actually happening as a physical event, as well as virtual as well. So if you can't make it to Sydney for the actual event and we weren't able to get an invitation, don't worry about it. You can still join virtually. You know, we'll have some expert panels there, fireside chats. There'll be some updated demos. You know, you can ask a lot of questions to the experts here, as well as covering some industry-specific use cases and customer stories, which is really exciting. So if you haven't, I strongly recommend you register now and make use of what's available at Connect. We've got some upcoming virtual events. So, you know, feel free to jump on and register for these. We've got one around composable government and incident management and interoperability across agencies as well. So they're both coming up in May, which is exciting. So if that is in your wheelhouse and it's something you're interested in, feel free to register now for those virtual events. Now, we had a question a little bit earlier. How can we access previous recordings, including this one? We are now posting our meetups on YouTube. So feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the Melbourne MuleSoft Meetup, and where you can actually see, you know, the archives of what we have presented in the past. We have our online meetup group as well. So, you know, feel free to go to this URL. What we have is weekly sessions, as sort of mentioned, the previous sessions available on YouTube as well. So it gives you the ability to play catch up and see what's happening across the online meetup group, which goes above and beyond, I guess, what we're working through here. Okay, a few product updates or announcements. We have been talking about multi-factor authentication for a little while now, but you know, we strongly encourage that you take advantage of this. It's quick and easy to set up, and it makes everything a lot more secure for you as users of the Anypoint platform. So let's not wait, get across that and get that set up for your instance. Studio 7.12 has recently been released. So we've got a few updates from the studio side of things. Obviously, we've got a lot of developers out there who are joining the meetup from the community and spending a lot of time in studio. We've got some metadata enhancements and performance enhancements there. There was also some changes around the multi-factor authentication and how that actually syncs up, as well as some notification improvements as well. One cool new feature is we've got data weave libraries in Exchange. If you haven't actually seen that while you've been, you know, going through and searching and discovering through the different asset types that are available. So yeah, feel free to take a look at that. It's pretty cool, the fact that you can actually go and see your data weave libraries that are now available as an asset type and search through those as well. This update has been around for a little while now, but if you're not across this, it's within the panel on the right-hand side in this screenshot, but really what it is it shows you the lifecycle state of your asset in Anypoint Exchange, which is really cool. So it allows you to actually filter and browse based on that state. And it really feeds into where we're going around governance rules and standards across the lifecycle as well. Recently, we had some updates from a data graph perspective. So we now support mutations. I know Carlos in particular was really excited when this was released. It's a pretty cool feature. So instead of just being able to query using GraphQL in data graph, we've now got the ability to fundamentally update, insert, or delete data as well, which is pretty cool. And we're also supporting automatic persisted queries and syncing to CDNs, which is obviously, again, going to further improve the performance of those queries being run across data graph. Our library of accelerators is expanding, which is really cool. And even the ones that we currently have are becoming more and more enhanced as well. As of this morning, we had an update to the accelerator for retail, for example, with a new use case around CDP integration, which is quite cool. But we've also had the release of the accelerator for manufacturing, as we can sort of see on the screen here. So this is being able to get a unified view of your customers, and as well as predicting the future, the size of your future business as well, with sort of visibility across those sales agreements from a manufacturing perspective. Feel free to jump onto Exchange, take a look at the updated accelerators for manufacturing, and see the assets and use cases that it supports. We also have one for financial services. This has been in the works for a little while now. So all of the customers or people who are working in the fin services industry, feel free to take a look. There are a lot of APIs, templates, and use cases that are supported, from customer onboarding, customer retention and loyalty, as well as that personalization of customer interactions, which is really important. We always talk about friends of Max, okay, around the series of short bite-sized videos that are easy to consume around updates on the Anypoint platform and around MuleSoft. We've got an updated Friends of Max video on the accelerator for financial services that I just spoke about, as well as some of the top videos that we're seeing a lot of traction on are listed there as well. So feel free to jump on, see the latest and greatest from Friends of Max. Okay, in terms of what's next, feel free to tweet using the hashtag MuleSoft Meetups. Invite people from your network, your teams, your colleagues, other people who are using MuleSoft. We want to continue to spread the word around these meetups. It is pretty cool. It's unique in the fact that you get up-to-date information, and we're joined by fantastic partners and customers who can share their stories. So yeah, feel free to share the love and bring along some new people. As always, we're always open to feedback. We want to continually improve these sessions and make them as worthwhile as possible for you. So fill out the survey feedback form after this, and feel free to make some suggestions around things that you want to see. Daniel mentioned this a little bit earlier, but our next Melbourne meetup will be in August. Hopefully we will be in person by this time. So let's aim for that and hope to see everybody there. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to my trusty colleague in Carlos to share some pretty exciting news.
Thank you, Adam. Can you hear me well?
All good.
Perfect. Well, as again, guys, welcome. And as Adam mentioned, Universal API management is a big deal. and it is going to be very soon with us. How soon? Well, you know, the expectation is that if you sign up for a new trial next week, you should see these entitlements in place. So that's soon. Okay, that is still the expectation. Let's hope that is the reality. So in the next slide, I just want to introduce very quickly, within 2 to 5 minutes, what it is, because you know, Universal API management has been mentioned a lot recently, but there is still a lot of misinformation about it, and people treat it as a product. It is not a product. It is actually a combination of multiple products. The best way to describe Universal API management is the collection of both new and existing MuleSoft products. And the reason why this is very important to mention that it is existing MuleSoft products as well as new capabilities is because, well, you know, MuleSoft has been a leader in the full life cycle of API management for many years. So it is incorrect to say that from this release we are going to be able to do API management, because that is not entirely correct. We have actually been very strong leaders for many years in a row. But what we are doing is that across different personas, we are extending existing capability. So for example, whether it's a developer persona or an API owner persona, an architect, security operator persona, API product manager persona, currently and for many years, we have provided capabilities that are very mature, enterprise ready, and that basically anyone can use. But you know, in certain degree, this was always around the Mule API, the Mule application. For example, from a developer perspective, we could have like an API designer writer basically going into Design Center and basically creating API specifications there. And you know, we provide very good tooling to prototype it, to mock it, and basically iterate as many times as you need until that API spec is ready. And then until then you can go and start developing and testing that API. Well, the reality is that is perfect, but we also need to acknowledge that the same persona in a different team or in a different company is going to be using potentially other technologies in order to create those API specs, in order to develop microservices. And we don't want to tell them like, no, everybody should use MuleSoft or else. That is not very universal way of thinking. And this is why Universal API management is coming into place and saying, well, if you are using these other tools and they are working for you, then absolutely, we encourage you to keep using whatever works with you. On top of this, Universal API management can add value. So for example, for this developer persona who is creating API specifications in Swagger or Stoplight or Microsoft, whatever technology it is, as part of Universal API management, we are going to release a CLI. And this CLI is going to simplify how is that we can discover and catalog all of these non-Mule APIs into our marketplace. What marketplace? Exchange, for sure, our platform. And just by doing that, we are already solving a big problem in enterprise, because what the number one problem that we have observed with companies using MuleSoft is that they don't know what they have in terms of microservices. And by not knowing what they have, because you don't have a simple catalog across multiple technologies and multiple deployments, small and big microservices, well, companies end up duplicating effort. And but when you duplicate, basically you slow down the agility and innovation. So by cataloging these microservices into Exchange, we are solving a big problem. And then at that point, it is going to be way easier to see how many of these microservices or APIs are not properly protected, so that we can provide the right level of protection with Flex Gateway. This is the second product within the Universal API management. We are also shipping this new Flex Gateway that is going to follow the applications, whatever they are, to provide the right level of protection, but also visibility across those interactions on those API communication. Then, Flex Gateway can have the option to push all of the API telemetry to a third-party products, like, because companies might be using Kibana or Grafana or New Relic or Sumo Logic or Splunk. It's fine. Flex Gateway can push all these API telemetry and log aggregation into third-party products, but also there is an option for Flex Gateway to push all of this API telemetry into our platform. So, you know, we have had for many years API monitoring, Anypoint monitoring, and we provide a very good insight visibility into APIs. But now basically it's not just for the Mule API. We are going to extend that into any type of API. API governance is another product within the Universal API management that is going to contrast the regulatory compliance, the policy, the assurance policies that basically need to be met by all APIs. And if they are not met, well, there's going to be a report that is going to make that very visible so that we can remediate that. The last product that I just want to mention within the Universal API management is called Anypoint Experience Hub. And this is basically a response to many users, MuleSoft users that, you know, have been using Exchange and Community Manager, and basically they want to have a simplified way to create internal and external API portals within the Anypoint platform. So that is exactly what it's going to be, and that is going to be later in the year. So in the next slide, Adam, I'm just going to do a quick deep dive into Flex Gateway. As I said, Flex Gateway, the name comes from flexible because it will have flexibility in the way that you can deploy it. And what's the best way to deploy it? Well, it depends on the application that you are trying to protect. So for example, from a standalone point of view, if your application that you want to protect happens to be a monolith, or happens to be running on a VM or multiple VMs, or even it might be a SaaS application like a Salesforce, you know, we have customers that are actually thinking of using Flex Gateways to protect APIs that are already coming from Salesforce. And that's absolutely perfect. You know, Flex Gateway can be living wherever your application is living. Like in the same data center that application lives, well, have a Flex Gateway deployed there, because obviously you minimize the network hop, the traffic, and obviously the security aspect as well. And you can have it obviously running in multiple replicas for high availability. But there will also be situations where the application happens to be a more distributed microservice application running in clusters, like, you know, like a Kubernetes cluster or an ECS cluster. And then in those cases, you might want to opt to deploy Flex Gateway as an ingress controller, so that you can control all the traffic that is going inside that particular cluster. And then once you are within the cluster, you might also want to have Flex Gateways here and there in order to provide other types of policy or traffic control. And this is why Flex Gateway can also provide ability to run containers within clusters, like you can have it on a horizontal pod autoscaler in Kubernetes, or you can run it as a container sidecar, and basically you can apply different types of policies depending on what you need. The reality is that Flex Gateway is going to be deployed across all of these different type of deployment models for a complex architecture. We are going to see that, you know, Flex Gateway can be deployed as an ingress layer that is basically going to protect access into a network. Within that network, we are going to see different types of applications, and we are going to see Flex Gateways basically routing traffic and protecting and encrypting and doing all these things. And then potentially at the bottom, we might also have an egress layer, and we might also want to use Flex Gateway in order to control and protect all the traffic that is going outbound from that network. So depending on what it is, there is an easy way to deploy the same gateway across, you know, following the same approach, the same container with a lot of policies, and we have a very aggressive roadmap when it comes to policies as well, and other use cases. And with this, I will basically pass it on to Shefreen. Sorry, I will pass it on to Adam just to finish. But just keep this in mind. Next week, you are going to hear a lot of noise, a lot of information about, like, you know, Universal API management has gone GA, and that is ready for you to go and test. So get used to it, and there is going to be a lot coming.
Thanks, Carlos. Fantastic. You know, as mentioned earlier, it's a really exciting time for us. And, you know, as always, you know, make any purchasing decisions on what's generally available, but this is really close to coming out. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing this hit the road. All right. Well, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Shefreen from NGC Labs. He's going to be taking us through the integration lifecycle automation using Anypoint platform. So over to you, Shefreen. Did you want to share your screen?
Yeah, that's right, Adam. I'll share my screen.
No problem. Maybe a sec.
Screen 2.
All good.
You can see my screen, right? Excellent. All right. Okay. Welcome everyone to MuleSoft Melbourne Meetup. My name is Shefreen. I work as an integration practice lead at NJC Labs Australia. We at NJC Labs have got an in-house IP product called Iturria, which can automate the integration lifecycle of an API using or leveraging upon Anypoint platform APIs. So today's discussion is about the same integration lifecycle automation using Anypoint platform. Let me go to the next slide. Quick brief about myself. I've got about 15 years of experience in the IT industry, the latest 5 years being in enterprise integration, covering various industries like public sector, insurance, retail, telecom, etc. As I mentioned before, I've worked as an integration practice lead at NJC Labs Australia. My LinkedIn profile is shared on screen for anyone who may wish to connect with me. Would love to do that. Let's take a look at the agenda for the day. So we'll start off with integration case study covering the use case. We'll have a look at the architecture for that use case, and then we will also have we'll see how this integration use case can be implemented using a traditional approach, how the implementation can be carried forward. Now, then we will have a look at the automation of the same use case using Iturria, the API Ops platform. We'll then move on to the demo. In the demo, we will take a look at the Iturria platform, how the configurations can be done, and also how MuleSoft projects can be accelerated using Iturria platform. We'll then have a Q&A session. And as part of the demo itself, there would be time when obviously we can answer whatever questions coming through. Finally, we will have a brief intro about NJC Labs as a company. Okay, so the case study. We'll start off with the case study. So Acme Telecom, it's a telecommunication service provider. They want to activate SIMs for their corporate users. There are different systems and users involved as part of this integration. So business users use Salesforce, the operational team use ServiceNow, IT users use Jira. So as part of the use case, when a business user creates a new case in Salesforce to activate the SIMs for their corporate users, that should trigger a ticket creation in ServiceNow so that the operational team can activate the corporate accounts for those customers. That should also simultaneously trigger a case in Jira so that IT users can create a custom price plan for those users based on the business instruction. A typical use case, we will go to the architecture for the same. This is how the solution for this integration use case would look like. As you can see, there are 3 layers. The standard API-led connectivity diagram you see here: system layer, process layer, experience layer. As part of the system layers, we have got the ServiceNow system API to create the incident in ServiceNow, Jira system API to create an issue in Jira, and Salesforce system API to unlock the case object from Salesforce Service Cloud. We also have experience layer, 2 APIs in experience layer. One as a topic listener to listen to the topic created from Service Cloud whenever a case is created. That gets published into Anypoint MQ, and the second experience API, the case listener API, consumes that case from the Anypoint MQ and trigger the case process orchestration from that process layer API. So overall, you can see around 6 APIs, 1 MQ as part of the solution. This use case is actually in line with it's kind of in line with the MuleSoft sales accelerator available in Anypoint Exchange for Service Cloud. Now let's take a look at the timeline in terms of how we can traditionally, how we can implement this, especially when it comes to a new customer. So in the traditional approach, we'll have a planning phase at the start, probably about a week, then platform onboarding, platform when it comes to Anypoint platform, the other relevant platforms as part of the project, a couple of weeks for that, then a project design phase for a week, then the project and DevOps setup. The DevOps will involve the build phase, the release pipelines, various stages associated with that. Then we will have a development phase where we will start off from the scratch in terms of the RAML design, the implementation, the unit test construction, all these things. Finally, a release phase. Overall, it could take up to 12 to 15 weeks for the overall project for this kind of a use case with 6 APIs. Now let's see how Iturria can accelerate the same use case by making use of the Anypoint platform APIs in the backend. Iturria can accelerate the same use case by about 4 times at least. As you can see here, the project and DevOps setup, a lot of actually phases mentioned in the first half of this slide, those are automated using Iturria. That's been listed down there. So project creation, importing and publishing the spec to Exchange, the API policy setup, code committing, the build pipeline, release pipeline setup, monitoring services using logging externalization and everything. All these things are automated. They are all triggered just with a single click of a button. Then we will have the development. You don't have to do the development from the scratch. The template itself will have the basic data modeling for the RAML. Then it will also have the implementation. Customer only have to do the iterative work of modifying the code base to take it to the final business outcome. So overall, as you can see, compared to several weeks in the traditional approach with Iturria, you can actually achieve the business outcome. You can actually have the code base into production, within just a couple of weeks. So let's take it. Let's get into the details of Iturria. So Iturria, as I mentioned before, it's an integration lifecycle automation and API ops platform. So all these different various life cycles of this of the integration, like design phase, build phase, unit test, deploy phase, everything is actually automated. So it's a hybrid platform, meaning the platform can be hosted in our it can be provided as a SaaS service where it is hosted in our cloud, or it can be actually lift and shifted to customer specific cloud service or on-prem server. It's multi-tenant, meaning multiple customers can be onboarded into the platform at the same time, each having their own separate instances being used. It is also multi-cloud in the sense that from a deployment point of view, several deployment models are supported. The Iturria supports deployment into Cloud Hub. It also supports RTF-based deployment where self-managed Kubernetes solutions like AKS on Azure, EKS on AWS, and also Google Kubernetes engine based cloud solutions are also supported. Not just this, apart from the Mule APIs, it also supports microservice solutions like Spring Boot, Node.js, React, those kind of micro-based services also they are also supported by Iturria. And that support actually is similar to how the support is for Mule APIs, similar life cycle, including the design, build phase, unit test, deployment phase, and everything. So how is this automation achieved in Iturria? So in Iturria, we have ready to use templates. These templates are kind of two types: business outcome based templates and application outcome based templates. So in business outcome templates, that is actually what we have seen as part of this use case we referred earlier. So there will be multiple APIs. It actually targets to achieve a business outcome. All these APIs will be deployed as part of the whole automation. Then there is this application based template for example, Salesforce system APIs or ServiceNow system API templates or Workday system API based templates. Those are also available as part of this application templates. It's not just the data enrichment which is happening. There are the templates are also enriched with various other factors, like the unit tests are included to achieve 100% unit test coverage. You also have integration, test cases included in the template. You have best practices incorporated into the template. Design the proper design conventions followed, and monitoring, scaling, root cause analysis capabilities, everything is actually included in the template. So customer has the option to choose, depending upon whichever platform they want, they have the option to choose those platforms into this template. So overall, because of this template, the component produced by Istiga, that they will have a ready to they will have the component with up to the mark code quality and governance. They can actually take it forward. Another aspect of Istiga is that we want customer to have a feel of the business outcome immediately, as soon as possible, rather than waiting for several weeks, because in a traditional approach you will have to wait for several weeks before the customer can get an idea of how the integration is actually going to work. Only the design and architecture diagrams are available, but the actual implementation, even for a POC, takes time. But with Istiga, a kind of a POC can be created immediately, where the customer will have a feel of what they are going to get, and from there they can actually enrich, iteratively develop the code base to take it to their final business outcome. So there are 8 steps as part of the Istiga automation. The initial step is the configuration or setting up the platform. So for instance, let's say customer has got GitHub or Bitbucket as an source control management system. So we configure that into Istiga. Then we, from a CI/CD point of view, we configure Azure, AWS, or Jenkins, whichever the customer is using, or whichever the platform customer prefers. We configure that. There is the Anypoint platform related configuration. From a login perspective, Grafana or any other tool customer would want, we would configure that. Once this initial configuration phase is done, setup phase is done, then it's just a matter of creating the project, and that triggers rest of the steps automatically, starting with the repo creation in GitHub. Then the code gets committed into the repo. It gets downloaded from the template available in servers, and then it gets committed to the repo of customer. Then the build pipeline is created later with necessary or with all the essential testing and other phases included. From the build pipeline, there would be an artifact getting produced, deployable artifact, and we deploy that artifact into the respective or target environment. It could be Cloud Hub, or it could be an RTF-based solution. RTF actually gets more interesting because for an RTF, you need to have a Kubernetes cluster to be created, and then the RTF needs to be installed. The platform supports installation of a Kubernetes cluster on the fly. You want a Kubernetes cluster, self-managed Kubernetes cluster in Azure, or if you want one in AWS, the platform supports this. You create the Kubernetes cluster, RTF gets installed into that Kubernetes cluster, and the Mule application gets deployed into the RTF cluster created on the fly. Finally, we'll have from a logging and visibility point of view, we will have the Grafana or Elk-based integration, and finally the service is started. So it gets deployed into the respective environment the customer would wish to. And the best thing about the platform is that this is a one-time setup. So initial configuration and one-time project setup, and after that, Istiga is actually not needed. The whole pipeline is set up. Customer would can take it forward by doing the necessary, further iterative or agile-based, code development to take it to the final business outcome they want to achieve as part of the integration. So these are the different platforms currently integrated with Istiga. From a build point of view, it's not just a Mule, like I mentioned. You have the other microservices based solutions like React, Node.js, Spring Boot, etc. From a CI/CD perspective, Jenkins is supported. we have Azure DevOps. We also have Bitbucket pipeline that's not actually covered in this slide. From a deployment point of view, CloudUp, like I mentioned, then we also have Kubernetes AKS from an RTF point of view, EKS from a AWS self-managed Kubernetes point of view. GKE is actually in the pipeline. By next quarter, we will also have support to GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine. From a code quality and testing point of view, we have SonarQube supported. We have Cucumber from an integration testing point of view, functional testing point of view. We have from an SCM point of view, GitHub and Bitbucket pipeline has already been Bitbucket has already been integrated. And finally, from a monitoring point of view, Grafana and Elk and few other monitoring platforms are in the pipeline. So let's take a look at the roadmap before going into the demo. So in the next quarter, we are planning to integrate Flex Gateway. So Flex Gateway has been introduced by Carlos. So we are working closely with Carlos to integrate Flex Gateway into this platform so that we can take it to our customers and accelerate the implementations. The other things actually in the pipeline for next quarter, RTF on GKE, more templates are coming, business outcome-based healthcare accelerator template. The application templates, about 10 of them are actually getting built. And finally, log externalization to Splunk and Datadog is also in the pipeline. All right, we will go to the demo. So as part of the demo, we will have a walkthrough of Iturria platform, how the platform looks like, how the configuration is done. Then we will then create a project and see how the pipeline is created in Azure DevOps and how the application gets deployed. All the Mule APIs get deployed into CloudHub. For this demo, we are using a CloudHub deployment. Then once all the applications are created, we can then create a case in Salesforce and see the integration with ServiceNow and Jira, which is our use case. So let's go to the demo part. Can you see the NJC Labs API Ops screen now?
Yes.
Right. Awesome. So currently the project, we will create a project here. So this is actually the landing page. So there is actually I have already logged in. So you just log in with normal credentials. And after that, you have, these three options: Project Center, where the projects are created. Project templates will cover different templates, which I was talking about. So this is actually the business outcome based template. Rest all are application templates. There is a Workday template, ServiceNow template, Anaplan template. There is Salesforce, generic database, different templates available, and this will keep on growing in the coming quarters and rest of the half of year. So the initial step, as we explained before, that's actually the configuration. So there are a lot of, as part of the onboarding, you have the platform onboarding to be set up, under this page. Then you also configure the RTF related, or you also set up the RTF related configuration here. So if you click here, you can see this is where actually, you can give the Anypoint username and password, or client ID or client-based logging if it comes to connected apps. So based on that, actually you set up the account. This has already been configured for now. It's all secured. This is all getting stored in a secure vault. Then here you can see GitHub configuration. You just actually configure your GitHub, or other option from an SCM point of view is Bitbucket. So those are the two options. When you create a project, you have the option to select either a GitHub repository or a Bitbucket repository, whichever the customer would want to prefer. So this would be the customer GitHub repository or customer Bitbucket repository, which they will provide the credentials with us. But these are all token based configuration. So that means once this is set up, customer can revoke that particular account they had created, so that it's secured from that point of view. this Azure DevOps, this is actually the configuration for Azure DevOps and also for AKS cluster, Azure Kubernetes Service Cluster. That's the configuration is done here. Then we have Jenkins configuration, again, a token-based configuration. Grafana is not set up for now, but Grafana configuration and other logging platforms will also be integrated soon into this Iturria platform. This is actually, the final one is actually AWS related one. So all the setups related to the demo has already been done so as to save the time. Now we can actually go to the, before creating the project, I will just, so we have actually the Salesforce Sales Console page open where we can Service Cloud open where we can actually create a case. There's a dummy case already there, but we'll create a fresh new case, and the objective is that case to be reflected in the issues here in Jira. Currently it is empty from a backlog point, status backlog point of view. It's actually empty. A new case created, it gets into the backlog, and that should be displayed here. And we also have the ServiceNow incident page where where the ticket would be created, and the operations team should be able to see the ticket from here. So after the demo involves, like I said, create a ticket here that should get reflected in both Jira and ServiceNow. Now this is the Azure DevOps. Currently there are only two dummy projects, but we will see as and when we create the project, multiple projects and multiple pipelines being created, we should be able to see that. And I've already deployed, the 6 APIs just as a backup, but you will see based on the name we give, you should be able to see the new apps getting deployed, and we will be doing the testing, based on that. So if it takes time, I just want to actually make use of the existing app to do the demo. That's why, these apps have already been deployed. So let's get into the demo. Now, while we are doing the demo, obviously, it is going to take some time, and in between, I will try to answer some of the questions you may already be having. So if there is any questions, I'd be more than happy to, answer them currently once, just after we create the project. So as part of creating the project, we just go to creating new. So these are the different build tools available. So our focus is actually on MuleSoft, Mule API creation. So we select that, go to next. And so we have all these CI/CD server options available. So we will go with the Azure for the demo purpose. We go next, we give a name to the project. So because Iturria demo is already there, I'll just give another name, demo 2. So the demo 1, it's not there in the platform, but that there are applications with that name in Anypoint platform. So that's why I'm just giving Iturria demo 2. Go to next. So this is the business outcome based template, the template specific to the use case we are talking about. If it is just a system API, corresponding system APIs we select. If it is a Salesforce system API only we need, we select that. But for this particular use case, since it's a multi API based demo targeting that business outcome, we select this and then we finish. So that creates a project, but it doesn't trigger the build or release. We just need to click that. We need to review the details. So there are six APIs related to those, or 6 tabs related to those 6 APIs. We review that and then we say create, build, and release. Select the type of SCM where to put the code into. So that is GitHub, and the deployment whether to RTF or CloudUp. For this demo, like I said, we are using CloudUp. Okay, and that should actually, start the build process. We will see the status for each of those APIs, starting with the, the repo creation, the build pipeline creation, all the other aspects, everything, one by one, for each of the APIs, you should be able to see it here. Now, this is actually, it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes for all this set of activities to finish. So in between, we will keep on monitoring, how this build pipeline or projects getting created in Azure. We see, the new APIs getting deployed into Runtime Manager. So as that happens, any questions, I'm more than happy to take it, and whatever I could answer, I'll try my level best. Any questions so far?
Don't don't see any questions in the chat right now. So, but yeah, anyone who wants to ask a question, get some clarification on that solution, please post it.
Cool. So
I've got a question actually with, okay, so you said different deployments of Anypoint and MuleSoft are supported as well. So any sort of on-prem deployments would be supported as well, or does it always, so for example, for some customers, they use headless mules, right? So no connection to the control plane. Is that supported as well, or would you always need, obviously, a connection through the control plane?
Yeah, so currently that's actually been discussed. So we are actually exploring the option to, do that without actually the connection to control plane currently, because it's actually, making use of platform APIs, that control plane connection is actually needed. But then there could be actually something in the future, not in the immediate future, but somewhere down the line, definitely, that is something we would wish to cater for. So I'll just refresh the.
And Shefreen, just while you refresh that, there are a couple of questions that come in relating to those project templates, just whenever you get a chance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can see those. Otherwise, I can.
I'm just reading them. Are the project templates predefined by NJC? Yeah, so these are actually the templates which are currently predefined by NJC, but we have tried to select the best use case or the common use cases for some of these application templates and put together that into the template. Now, obviously, it's not necessary that the actual integration use case requirement will match with the template we have, but they could be, we can actually, the customer can actually start from there, do the necessary modification. So at least the platform is set. The platform is set in terms of, not just the RAML data model or even the implementation itself, unit testing, everything is there. But with regards to the actual or the final outcome customer is, looking for from that integration use case, they can do the necessary modifications. And that's when the time saving is actually, I was referring to before. So everything from scratch, it could take several weeks for customer to do that integration. But then with this platform, we are actually, targeting to reduce multiple weeks or months from that implementation timeline. Yes. So for the answer, the second question, can you customize the project templates? Yes. So the templates, so we can actually customize the project templates from our side, but the other option is, if the template we have, if it is actually closely matching with the customer requirement, once the code is committed to the repository and the full pipeline is created, a kind of a POC, application is deployed, the code can be iteratively modified. Then the new build can be created, and ultimately customer can obviously customize the whole project to the requirement, the exact requirement they have. All right, so just coming back to the demo, as you can see here, different APIs are, so 4 out of the 6 APIs, 4 of them have already been created in Azure DevOps. So if you select one of them, we can just see what all phases have been included in that project. It's still actually, still being constructed. So you can see that at least for this particular pipeline, the build is actually completed, and the release may not be. So the release, it's getting actually released into a sandbox environment of the Anypoint platform. So probably if you take a look at the, so you can see that these were the initial applications. The demo 2, there are 2 applications getting deployed already. So rest of the APIs, I'm sure, will follow soon enough. Now, because we already have these 6 APIs deployed, probably I will go ahead and do the demo, so that actually we can then come back to, the complete deployment once that is complete. So creating a ticket for this particular use case, you go to the new case creation, select the priority. Let's say, because a corporate customer, you put it at high priority. Case origin, let's say phone. The business user will probably web. We have you have to select the contact name. We're just giving it a test user for now. Account name, the default account there. Then we select the sync with ServiceNow and sync with Jira. Like I said before, this template is actually in line with the MuleSoft Service Cloud Accelerator. So anyone who is familiar with the Service Cloud Accelerator available in Exchange, they would be familiar with this whole setup. So we create a subject, corporate account activation. For customer XYZ. Please activate the mobile number for corporate customer XYZ. Just ensure that everything is in place, all good, and then you do the save. Let's see. I just hope that because we are deploying another set of applications, there isn't any conflict happening. If that is the case, we will delete the newly deployed app, or we'll stop the newly deployed app and then try it again. So let's just see if this is created. We'll also refresh the service now.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that maybe there was going to be a race condition, right? Like, like two applications are now trying to pull from.
Yeah, when I started that deployment, I thought that the other one will actually take a bit of a time, but looks like by that time, it was already deployed. So what I'll do is I'll just stop these ones, the demo 2 ones. Case listener, and yeah, that case listener should be okay if we do that and create another case. Test user account, high priority, sync with ServiceNow, sync with Jira. We can okay, let's see how didn't come through even then. Oh no, sorry. Okay, it actually came through. I think it was actually some other delay. I didn't have to actually save it this time around. The earlier one itself, corporate account activation for XYZ. So that actually came through. You can see the description is also there. And let's see if we have the ServiceNow ticket. Yeah, ServiceNow is also all good. So that's the integration done. Luckily, we don't have to do it again. So as you can see in the Anypoint platform, all the remaining 6 apps are getting deployed. 3 of them are done. 2 are getting deployed. The last one is just about to start. Oh, sorry, this is actually the one we stopped. So that's about it, mainly from a DevOps perspective. So if you go back to see the Azure DevOps, you will see all these different projects there created. So initially you only had PMS DevOps and test project. You can see all these 6 different projects related to this, the template we selected for that business outcome use case. Yeah, so that's mainly from the demo point of view. Any more questions we have?
We've got a couple more there in the chat, just around RAML samples and error handling.
Yeah. So does the RAML samples based on the customer requirements? Yeah. So like I said before, so it would be the template would be having a basic RAML requirement. So mainly to unlock this is, let's say for the case of Salesforce System API, the standard unlocking of the Salesforce few of those objects. So there would be data model or RAML based on that. But then that RAML can be modified once the whole project is actually implemented. That RAML can be modified based on customer requirement. We don't expect the template to be an exact match, like I said before, with customer requirement. The objective is to make it actually, as close match as possible, but then customer can take it forward by, or our developers can take it forward by doing the necessary modifications. Okay, where do you view error logs such as deployment failure? So to answer that, in the API ops itself, the status here, any error, so anything breaks, obviously you will have a red red icon there with the failure reason. We also have the console where the details are actually printed. So any particular issues or everything, if it is not if there is an error, that would be highlighted here. On top of that, we can also go to the respective DevOps project, and we can actually see specific or more detailed errors from the DevOps platform. Is there probably Basil can add more to that if I have missed anything? Basil?
No, Shefreen, you've covered it. So basically, if there was any error in between the functioning of Ishtika platform, you would see that on the console as well as on the status log. If something fails on the status, probably you can see that particular error in the console itself, so that the customer gets a view of what happened in between. So, and from the project perspective, like Shefreen said, we have a build pipeline as well as a release pipeline. So build pipeline builds the application, deploys the jar. The release basically deploys the jar to the respective platform. So if there is any problem with the build, then you can see that on the respective CI/CD platform as well. Yeah, so you've covered it, Shefreen.
Thanks, Basil. There was another one I missed. How is the error handling managed within project template? Yeah, so there would be basic error handling included in with respect to the template what we have. So any modification you would do to the code, correspondingly, if there is any more error handling needed, you obviously customer or the developer can actually add those error handling. So already it comes with error handling. So there would be a global error handling and the included template specific error handling, but then that can always be extended to any specific requirement customer may be having. Are you using Graph APIs internally for publishing to Azure DevOps? I will need Basil help there to answer that.
So we are using, we are leveraging APIs as well as CLIs to interact with Azure as well as other servers. So it's not just APIs that we are using, and we are not using Graph APIs. We are using other APIs, and the internal system is basically constructed using Node as well as on MuleSoft. So we are leveraging these technologies, and we are leveraging APIs as well as command line tools to interact with various systems that we have integrated with Ishtika. So yeah, that's what we do.
Can the packaged artifact be promoted to higher environments? How does the template handle credentials for different environments? So yes, the currently, for this demo, we only used one sandbox environment, but by default, actually, you can configure multiple environments to run sequentially or in parallel. So like a dev, a testing environment, UAT environment, and then the prod environment as required by the customer. So that customization can be included in the template. For demo, we haven't included it. It's only the dev one, but it is possible. How does the template handle credentials for different environments? Basil?
Yeah. Like Shefreen mentioned, for the demo purpose, we have just enabled dev environment, but I think we've already seen the configuration part. So in the configuration part, there would be an additional field to configure the environments as well, apart from the organization. So the customer can add various environments to which the application needs to deploy the applications on. So on the configuration side, the customer will configure the application based on the credentials provided by the customer. The application will follow all the respective environments that the customer has, and then they list down that environments on the application itself. So on the time of deployment, where we select the type of deployment as well as the type of SCM, we can also select the type of environment to which the application needs to be deployed on. So right now that option is not enabled. So once that is enabled, the customer will be able to see a drop down or an option to select the various environment to which he or she needs to deploy the applications on. So right now it's only on dev. So as the application developer, we'll be showing different environments the customer has for that particular organization, and they'll be able to deploy the particular. Based on that, the release also gets modified. So right now there will be one release for sandbox. Similar to that, if the customer has selected sandbox, QA, and prod, or even sandbox and QA, respective two releases, one release would be there, and in that release there would be two stages for development environment as well as for QA environment, and the same jar will be promoted to both the environments. So that's what we do. Yeah, and
fantastic.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Basil and Shefreen. Thanks for all the questions that are coming in too. Yeah, really appreciate the interactions there. I guess in the interest of time, we might just park some of those questions and we can always circle back if there are some more coming in. Shefreen, was there anything else you wanted to cover off as part of the demo?
Yeah, just brief about the company. Probably I'll just take a couple of minutes. Is that all right?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. A couple of minutes, all good.
All right, so just to give a brief about NJC Labs. So we are a boutique MuleSoft consulting company. We only focus on MuleSoft from an integration service point of view. We are a MuleSoft training and SA partner. Only very few, I think one or two partners in the globe have got that distinction of being a training and SA partner. Over the last several years, 5 years to be precise, we have integrated around 100 plus, close to 100 plus systems. We have had through our training wing, we have had around close to, now it's not actually updated, close to 2,000 architects and developers have been trained. From a footprint point of view, we have about we are present across 4 different geographic regions. We have registered offices in USA, UK, Australia, and India. So by virtue of this geographical diversity, we offer customer 24/7 support services. Every time any customer facing any issue, round the clock, we will have someone available to assist them. And that is something actually, the customer, all our customers appreciates about our services. Just that one final slide. So the USP of NJC Labs is the NJC Innovation Lab. So the lab part of NJC Labs is from this innovation lab. So with this innovation lab, what we are doing, we have got accelerators running throughout the year to make sure that all the employees are skilled enough to perform the integration tasks as demanded by the customer for our not just for local projects, also for global projects. Another aspect of NJC Innovation Lab is we produce reusable assets and artifacts, which actually accelerates the project delivery significantly. And over the years, these reusable assets and artifacts have been combined together and automated to to make what we see today as Istiga. So Istiga is actually a byproduct of the NJC Innovation Lab, which is actually our USP. That basically concludes my presentation. Over to Adam.
Fantastic. Thanks, Shefreen, Basil, and the team for taking us through that. That was fantastic. I think in the interest of time, I might hand it straight over to Daniel, who's going to talk us through how we go about running the quiz this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Shefreen, if you can hand me over the screen, just stop sharing. Awesome, thank you very much. All right, so now the fun part after all the hard work. A bit of trivia as always. So for those of you who've been to the Melbourne Meetup a few times, we now do a quiz. There's prizes to be won. Not using Kahoot anymore, so we decided to go with a different platform called Quizzes. You can access that platform through an app as well, or very easily, if you don't or haven't downloaded the app, just open on your mobile phone browser the website joinmyquiz.com. That's probably the easiest way to do that. So I will share the questions as always here on the screen, and then you can, on your mobile phone or on a different browser on your laptop, can answer those questions. We will give you a game pin in a moment, and in order to get started with that game. And please, when you type in your name, use your real name if you want to win prizes. So there's the usual prizes to be won. It's training vouchers, hoodies, food vouchers, etc. All right, let's get started here. So go to joinmyquiz.com. Put that on again. Best thing is to do it on a mobile web browser, right? And then enter your game code. The game code is 033786. 033786. And then use your name. Yeah, we've got people coming in. So let's wait a couple minutes until everyone who wants to participate is on. We've got 12 questions lined up. Well, actually 11. The first one is just a test, so you can, for those of you who haven't played around with these types of quizzes yet, so you can try it out. The questions are a mixture of pretty much questions that, or answers that we talked about throughout this evening. So that's the announcements from Adam, the Universal API Management section from Carlos, and of course the NJC Labs presentation. But in between, we've got a couple of non-technical questions as well. For those of you who read the news, are interested in sports, are interested in the arts, etc., have a chance to win as well. You will not just win or get points for answering the question correctly, but also answering it quickly. So you've got 20 seconds for each question. So time matters as well. All right, we've got 28 people joining. Anyone else? I'll wait maybe another half minute. So joinmyquiz.com on any device, and then the game code. All right, I think that's it. All right, 29, another one. All right, another 10, 20 seconds to go for anyone who wants to join. Get in the draw. Okay, so let's get started. The first one is just a question to sort of try it out. Are you ready for this quiz? So just select anything. So you get 4 options. Later on, when you get the questions, select the right question out of the 4, or the right answer out of the 4. And you've got 20 seconds per question. All right, looks like everyone's ready. That's fantastic. Now it's for real. The first question. What is the name of the upcoming MuleSoft in-person event that is held in Sydney? Cool, done. That was, of course, MuleSoft Connect. I just need to check here. How do we do the leaderboard? Yeah, exactly. That's how we do it. Sorry, we need to get used to this new platform as well. That's what happens when you change platforms. A lot of learning. All right. So Bijesh is leading, and of course, the correct answer: MuleSoft Connect, in person in Sydney, but also virtually. The next question is: Steve Jobs once famously said that something is your worst enemy. Is it brain power? Is it perfection? Is it stupidity? Or is it friends? All done. And the correct answer is perfection. So perfection is your worst enemy. Those of you working in IT, it's especially true. If you try to be too perfect, you can get into trouble. All right, next question. Oh, sorry, forgot the leaderboard. I'll do that after the next one. What are the modes that MuleSoft's Flex Gateway can operate in? Time is up, and Bijesh is leading. Wow, the correct answer is local and connected. Only 3 people got that right. Interesting. All right, so a lot to learn on Flex Gateway. It's out over the next couple of days. Next question is: which billionaire recently announced that he would buy the social media platform Twitter? Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, or Elon Musk? It's all over the news. And the answer is Elon Musk. 28 of you got that right. So Bijesh leading the pack with 4,270 points, closely followed by Zhengjing and Gali. Okay, cool. We are around the halfway mark almost. Next question. That's another technical one that's based on the content that we went through today. How is automation achieved in Istika? File transfer, SQL, Anypoint platform APIs, or all of the above? Leaderboard, Bijesh, and we've got a followed by Gali, and the correct answer was Anypoint platform APIs. So most of you got that right. That's good. Next question. Approximately 70% of the world's composite volcanoes are located around the Pacific Ocean in a region called Ring of Fire, Volcano Ring, Nucleus of Volcanoes, or Center of Fire. I don't think we ever had a geography question, so I had to put that in. Everyone's done. Let's first have a look at the leaderboard. Oh, Bijesh is really cruising along nicely, and Gali and Yadev. And the correct answer is, of course, the Ring of Fire. I promise no more geography questions. Let's go back to another technical question from the presentations today. What version of Anypoint Studio has recently been released? That should be straightforward for those of you or those of us who work with Anypoint Studio every day. Leaderboard, Bijesh is still in the lead with 7,000 points. And the correct answer is, of course, 7.12, recently released. Next question. How much faster can Istika achieve business outcomes compared to the traditional approach? Same as traditional, 2 times faster, 4 times faster, or 8 times faster? Bijesh with 7,800, but closely followed by Gali. And the correct answer is 4 times faster. Oh, a lot of you got that right. So people have definitely paid attention to the presentation by NJC Labs. Right, next one. That's a sports question. Who won the Australian Formula One Grand Prix 3 weeks ago? Sergio Perez, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, or Daniel Ricciardo? Happened here in Melbourne. Sure, a few of you either watched it on TV or even went to Albert Park. Bijesh still leading. Oh, but Kanishka closely followed. Oh, interesting. Charles Leclerc is the right answer. I think he's from Monaco, as far as I remember. 6 of you got that one right. Okay, so we are 2 more questions to go. And these are 2 technical questions. The first one is, what are supported deployment models for Flex Gateway at GA? Read carefully through the answers. Bijesh leading, closely followed by Gali. And most of you got it right. Gateway instance, ingress controller, and container sidecar. So once that is GA, hopefully next week, make sure to try it out. Right, and final question. Which build tool below is not supported by Istika? MuleSoft, React, Delboomi, Node.js. And we do have a winner in Bijesh. Congratulations. Let's have a quick look at the correct result. Delboomi not supported. MuleSoft is, React is, and Node.js is. That is it. Yes, we want to end the quiz. Okay. So congratulations to the winners. We're going to be reaching out to you. Sure, we have now a nice overview who actually won. We know Bijesh won. Whoops, where's the, I thought we had, now here we go. Got disconnected here. So congratulations to Bijesh, number 1. Okay, doesn't want to show me the winner's board. But anyway, we'll get in contact with everyone who won. The first 3 get a prize. And that is it for today. I want to thank my colleagues, Carlos and Adam, for organizing the meetup, running the meetup. I want to thank the NJC Labs team, Shefreen, Mega, and Basil, for that awesome presentation. It was really insightful and super interesting. and a demo that was flawlessly executed. So thanks for that. And hope to see everyone in August, again, hopefully in person. I think this time we can make it happen. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks
Daniel.
all.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. See ya, guys.
Bye.